Blood circulates throughout the body in the cardiovascular system, which consists of the heart and the blood vessels. This system forms a continuous circuit that delivers oxygen and nutrients to all cells and carries away waste products. Also functioning in circulation is a lymphatic system, which drains fluids and proteins from the tissue and returns them to the bloodstream. The heart is located between the lungs, with its point or apex directed towards the left. The thick muscle layer of the heart wall is the myocardium. This is lined on the inside with a thin endocardium and is covered outside with a thin epicardium. The heart is contained within a fibrous sac, the pericardium. Each of the upper receiving chambers of the heart is the atrium. In plural, we call them atria. And each of the lower pumping chambers is a ventricle. In plural, we call them ventricles. The chambers of the heart are divided by walls, each of which is called a septum. The intraventricular septum separates the two ventricles. The interatrial septum divides the two atria. There is also a septum between the atrium and ventricle on each side. The heart pumps blood through two circuits. The right side pumps blood to the lungs to be oxygenated throughout the pulmonary circuit. The left side pumps to the remainder of the body through the systemic circuit. The right atrium receives blood low in oxygen from all body tissues through the superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava. The blood then enters the right ventricle and is pumped to the lungs through the pulmonary artery. Blood returns from the lungs highly in oxygen and enters the left atrium through the pulmonary veins. From here it enters the left ventricle and it's forcefully pumped into the aorta to be distributed to all tissues. Blood is kept moving in a forward direction by one-way valves. The valve in the septum between the right atrium and the ventricle is the tricuspid valve, meaning three cups or flaps. The valve in the septum between the left atrium and ventricle is the bicuspid valve, having two cups, usually called the mitral valve, so called because it resembles a bishop meter. The valves leading into the pulmonary artery and the aorta have three cups. Each cup is shaped like a half a moon, so these valves are described as semilunar valves. The valve at the entrance to the pulmonary aorta is specifically named the pulmonic valve. The valve at the entrance of the aorta is the aortic valve. Sounds are produced as the heart functions, the loudest of these being the familiar lub and dub that can be heard throughout the chest wall, are produced by alternative closing of the valves. The first heart sound S1 is heard when the valves between the chambers close. The second heart sound S2 is produced when the valves leading into the aorta and pulmonary artery close. Any sound made as the heart functions normally is termed as a functional murmur. The word murmur used alone with regard to the heart describes an abnormal sound. Each contraction of the heart is termed as systole, is followed by a relaxation phase, diastole, during which the chamber fill. Each time the heart beats, both atria contract and immediately thereafter ventricles contract. The wave of pressure produced in the vessels each time the ventricles contract is the pulse. Contractions are stimulated by a built-in system that regularly transmits electrical impulses through the heart. They include the sinoatrial node, called the pacemaker because it sets the rate of the heartbeat. Atrioventricular node, or the atrioventricular bundle, also called bundle of His. The left and the right bundle branches and Purkinje fibers. Although the heart itself generates the heartbeat, factors such as nervous system stimulation, hormones, and drugs can influence the rate and the force of the heart contractions. Blood pressure is the force exerted by blood against the walls of a blood vessel. It is commonly measured in a large artery with an inflatable cuff known as the blood press cuff or blood pressure apparatus, but technically called a sphygmomanometer. Both systolic and diastolic pressures are measured and reported as systolic then diastolic, separated by a slash. Pressure is expressed as millimeters of mercury. That is the height to which the pressure can push a column of mercury in a tube. Blood pressure is a valuable diagnostic measure that can be easily be obtained. The vascular system consists of number 1, arteries. They carry blood away from the heart. Arterioles are small arteries that lead into the capillaries. Number 2, we have capillaries, the smallest vessels through which exchange takes place between the tissues into the capillaries also. Number 3, we have veins that carry blood back to the heart. The small veins that receive blood from the capillaries and drain into the veins are called venules. All arteries except the pulmonary artery and the umbilical artery in the fetus carry blood high in oxygen. They are thick-walled, elastic vessels that carry blood under high pressure. All veins except the pulmonary vein and the umbilical vein in the fetus carry blood low in oxygen. Veins have thinner, less elastic walls and tend to give way under pressure. Like the heart, veins have one-way valves that keep blood flowing forward. Nervous system stimulation can cause the diameter of the vessels to increase, which is called vasodilation, or decrease, which is called vasoconstriction. These changes alter blood flow to the tissues and affect blood pressure. Thank you.